It's funny to think about where the biggest, most world-changing ideas really come from. It's usually not from some super complex piece of tech. Nope. More often than not, it starts with something way simpler, a pen and a piece of paper. Let's dive into how that simple act can literally change everything.
There's this saying that I just love. Every great dream begins with a single page. It kind of suggests that every huge achievement, every massive success story can be traced all the way back to that first quiet moment of just making a mark on a blank sheet. It's a pretty beautiful thought, isn't it? So let's start right there on page 1. We're going to explore that almost, magical moment when a thought, something that's just floating around in your head, suddenly becomes something real, something you can actually see and hold.
Okay, I get it. It's so easy to look at a blank page and feel pressure, right? Like it's some kind of test. But what if we just flip that idea on its head? What if that page isn't empty, but it's actually an invitation? It's pure, untapped potential just sitting there, a space that's waiting for you and only you to tell it where to go.
All right, so once we've accepted that invitation from the blank page, we get to move into the really fun part, the act of creation itself. This is where the simple act of writing starts to become seriously powerful. And this isn't just some poetic, fluffy idea. When you actually write a goal down, you're doing something really profound. You are physically taking it out of the messy, abstract world of your mind and putting it into the real world. It becomes an object, something you can look at, something you can refine, and something you can actually build a plan around.
So, how does this whole transformation really happen? Well, it all starts as just a vague wish, right? That's step 1. Then comes step 2. You externalize it. You write it down. Just doing that forces step 3, which is clarification. You can't just write, I want to be successful. The page forces you to ask, okay, but what does that actually mean? And all of that leads to the final step, commitment. All of a sudden, that dream doesn't feel like a dream anymore. It feels like a promise.
Now, this next part, this is where it can start to feel a little bit like magic. But what if that magic is actually something we can understand? Let's pull back the curtain for a second and look at the actual science behind why a simple notebook can feel so life-changing.
This whole idea of believing in what you write is so key. But what is that really? Is it just wishful thinking? Or is it maybe a psychological trigger for something way more concrete? How does believing in words on a page actually lead to real-world results? So here's the secret. The magic of belief is really the power of focus. When you write down a goal, you're not just sending a message out to the universe. You are sending a crystal clear instruction directly to your own brain. You're telling it, hey, see this? This right here is what's important now. Pay attention to it. Okay, let's get a tiny bit technical here, but I promise it's super simple. Your brain has this thing called the reticular activating system, or RAS for short. The best way to think of it is like a bouncer for your mind. It filters out all the background noise and only lets in what's important. By writing down your goals, you're essentially handing your brain's bouncer a VIP list, and suddenly your brain starts noticing people, conversations, and opportunities that are relevant to that goal. Things that were probably there all along, but you were just filtering them out. Okay, so we've set our intention, we've programmed our focus, we're good to go, right? Well, we all know the path to any goal is rarely a straight line. So let's talk about the most realistic part of any journey, navigating all those inevitable challenges. Let's call it the messy middle. We all have this picture in our heads, don't we? We think our journey is going to be this clean, perfect, straight line from point A to point B. But the reality? Well, it's always different, isn't it? It's crumpled up drafts, it's spilled ink, it's taking detours that make you feel totally lost. And the most important thing to remember is that this isn't just okay, it's actually a necessary part of the whole process. And this is exactly why the notebook is such a perfect metaphor. A crumpled up page isn't the end of the book, right? A setback isn't the end of your dream. You just turn the page. There's always another one waiting, totally blank, ready for a fresh start.
So let's just completely reframe this. All that spilled ink, all those crossed out sentences, those aren't failures. They're drafts. They are the edits and the revisions that are going to make the final story so much stronger. Every single mistake is just valuable data that you're collecting on your way to getting it right.
And that brings us to the payoff. Let's pull all these ideas together and look at the ultimate result of this whole process. That incredible moment when you see the story you wrote down on paper become your actual lived reality.
So, when it all comes down to it, why should you write it down? Let's recap. You do it to create clarity, forcing yourself to define what you really want. You do it to build commitment, turning a wish into a promise. You do it to activate your focus, to program that RAS we talked about. And, so importantly, you do it to build resilience, because you learn that every setback is just a page you can turn.
Let's just end on this one powerful thought. A dream that just stays inside your head is only a wish. It's kind of fragile, it's undefined, but a dream that you have the guts to write down, now that becomes a plan. That becomes a possibility. That starts to become real. And with that, we're at the end. But it's also a beginning, isn't it? Because this last question, it's not really for me to answer. It's for you. The next page in your notebook is blank. The invitation is there. So the only question that's really left is,